Anthony Weiner is back and better than ever. Savannah Guthrie, straight from, you said she was in Waterworld too? I thought it was only Heaven's Gate and Ishtar.
She directed Waterworld. It was her idea. The concert
thing. Okay.
Yeah. It was really a lifetime of preparation for this moment.
Yeah, okay, great. And Mika is off. She's up in Northeast Harbor. So where else would you expect her to be in August? Here's Willie with the news, and then we're going to talk health care in Afghanistan and torture. In a minute.
All right, we'll do that in a second, but first a quick look at some of today's top stories. There are reports of new recommendations coming down from the Justice Department to reopen several cases of detainee abuse at the hands of the CIA and private contractors. According to this morning's New York Times, the move not only reverses the Bush administration's position, but it also exposes interrogators to potential prosecution. Meanwhile, the White House has reportedly approved a new plan to create an elite group of interrogators. This according to the Washington Post this morning. The plan moves oversight away from the CIA and bans certain interrogation methods, including sleep deprivation.
That'll work.
The White House is facing a new financial setback after acknowledging that over the next decade, the federal deficit may be $2 trillion bigger than previously estimated. Faced with slumping revenues, the figure expected to swell to $9 trillion instead of the $7 trillion projected earlier this year. And drivers have just a few more hours to take advantage of the government's Cash for Clunkers rebate program. Car dealerships have until 8 p.m. tonight to file their paperwork so that they can be repaid for the incentives. Joe.
So can we go to Phil now? On sleep deprivation is the guy that wakes up at 3 a.m.
I was going to say,
really?
3 a.m. 5 days a week.
That's pretty rough. All right. With us now, Democratic representative from New York, Congressman Anthony Weiner. Thanks for being back.
It's my pleasure.
We're going to talk health care in a minute. I want to go back to Jamie, though, for a second. Jamie, you are clear on what needs to be done in Afghanistan, that we need to put the additional troops in. We need to stay and do whatever it takes to bring stability to that country. But that's a pretty tall order for President Obama, isn't it, when you consider that his base on the left are going to be opposing him on that?
Well, I don't know whether they will oppose him, but I agree with you that it's not a natural act for a Democrat to support a long-term military activity in a country like Afghanistan. But this is not just any old country. This is the place from which 9/11 was hatched and organized. This is a special place. We've been there a long time, and what I think is remarkable, all these amateur historians say, well, you know, the British and the Russians never could get out of Afghanistan and could never win there, and therefore we're fated to the same result. I think that's nonsense. After 6-7 years of American troops in Afghanistan, they still, by and large, want us there and want us to succeed, except in those isolated areas where the Taliban has taken over, because this is a different situation. The people in that country are looking for some level of security and stability. We have the support of the world in this case. It's a unique situation, and it's only recently, in the last year, that this country has really put our shoulder to the wheel and begun to develop a strategy, both military and civilian, that will work. Now we have to support it, and we have to stop shying away from recommendations that may be necessary from the military.
We keep trying to underline it here because I don't think you hear it enough, but the Taliban is not popular with most Afghanistan citizens.
Absolutely not.
15%, maybe
absolutely
40%.
not. And even those, probably not. What it is that the people in certain parts of Afghanistan just want some stability, want the war to stop, and if it means that they'll accept the Taliban, fine. But the point here is that even after 6-7 years of American military operation, by and large, the Afghan people still want our presence. That is unique, that is remarkable, and that's because what we're trying to do there is different than the British were years ago and the Russians were, and I think it's a stupid analogy.
Anthony, can you go to your constituents, hold town hall meetings, and tell them that we need to send 20,000 more troops to Afghanistan? And that we may be there for a decade?
It's tough. I got to tell you, up to now, the administration hasn't done a great job of laying out what the plan is. And it's a very difficult one. This notion of take and hold in Afghanistan is a very difficult thing. I'm convinced after seeing what went on in Iraq, that our troops can accomplish anything if you give them sufficient resources, if you give them clear enough goals, even to the degree that a lot of what they wound up doing in Iraq was basic social service, agriculture service, things that were far beyond what a normal Marine finds himself doing. All that being said, there's a lot of skepticism in Congress right now.